million slaves that were moving over through the Atlantic slave trade. But what nobody really talks about is the 1.8 million that were lost in death along the way. Now, slavery was driven by these cash crops like tobacco and sugar and cotton. They needed very intense labor forces to be able to create those products that was creating great wealth. And it reminds me of a trip to a museum when I went to Charleston, South Carolina here recently. I overheard a gentleman talking about his conversation with one of the people that worked in there, and they were talking about the industry of the slave trade. And that's the thing. It was an industry. It was just a way to make money, and people were going to be drawn into that. They didn't take in the morality of it. It was a transaction. And I will never forget what this guy said as I overheard his conversation with his wife. There's a partition between us in this museum where the slave auctions would occur. And he is talking, so I can hear him, but I can't see him and he can't see me. And as he's talking about the process of, enslaved Africans, right? Whether they were prisoners of war or they were captured by Europeans and bought and sold, and then taken to the Americas, and the conditions that they were under and how they were treated. His response was, "What an effed up industry." And that's the thing. We have to remember this was an industry. People saw it as a way to make money. Forget about the morality. That comes later with the abolition movements. But I want to give a little context going forward, because these slave traders that ended up and made great wealth during this time period, right, 1450 to 1750, those at the later end of the time period are very interesting people. The reason why they're interesting is because at that 1750, there's this little thing going on in England that occurs because of this growth of technology, and that is the first industrial revolution. They need labor. So the industrialists, where did they come from? How did they have the money to start the factory systems that would eventually drive the textile industry that would make Great Britain so filthy rich? Why, those capitalists made their money from the slave trade. And now you know your freaking history. Peace.